October 2nd, 2014, from Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It was the division rivals from the NFC North going at it on Thursday Night Football as the Minnesota Vikings visited Lambeau Field to face the Green Bay Packers. The Packers won the toss and they elected to receive, but they would go 3-and-out on their first possession as they punted the ball away to the Vikings, who would also go 3-and-out on their first possession. So Green Bay got the ball back with less than 12 minutes left in the first quarter, and it only took them 4 plays to go 61 yards in about 2 minutes, capped off by an 8-yard touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers to Randall Cobb to put the Packers up 7-0. So now Minnesota got the ball with less than 10 minutes on the clock in the first, and they would end up making it up to the 41-yard line, but on 4th and 1 they would be forced to punt the ball. So now Green Bay took over with less than 7 minutes left in the first quarter, and once again for the second consecutive drive they scored in 4 plays, this time going 81 yards in about a minute and a half, as Aaron Rodgers went deep to Jordy Nelson for a 66-yard touchdown pass that made it 14-0 Packers over the Vikings. So now Minnesota got the ball with a little over 5 minutes left in the first, and they would go 3-and-out once again. Green Bay then took over with about 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter, and they went 3-and-out for the second time in this game. So now the Minnesota Vikings had the ball with about 2 minutes left in the first, and they brought the first quarter to a close, and they would open up the second quarter by punting on their first play in the quarter, and the Green Bay Packers now took over on their own 33, but they would end up going 3-and-out and punting the ball back to the Vikings, who also went 3-and-out once again. And so now the Green Bay Packers would go 3-and-out for the second consecutive drive, as it was all defense during this spurt of the game. So now Minnesota had the ball with about 10.5 minutes left in the second quarter. The ball was on their 12 to begin their drive. They made it all the way to their 39-yard line. Then Christian Ponder dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Julius Peppers, and Julius Peppers ran it back 49 yards for the pick six, and the score was now 21-0 Packers. So the defense got in on the scoring for Green Bay. So now Minnesota got the ball back with less than 7 minutes on the clock, and Ponder was intercepted 2 plays later for the second consecutive drive. This time it was Lattimore who intercepted him, and so the Packers would take over on the Minnesota 20, and 3 plays later Aaron Rodgers threw his third touchdown pass of the game, this one to Davante Adams, an 11-yard touchdown pass that made it 28-0 Green Bay. So now Minnesota got the ball with less than 5 minutes left in the half, and then Matt Asiata on 2nd and 8 from the 46 as they had reached near midfield. He ran for 11 yards, but he fumbled the ball, and so then the Packers recovered as Burnett forced the fumble and Hayward got the recovery. So the Packers now had the ball with less than 2 minutes left before halftime, but they would end up going 3-and-out and giving the ball back to Minnesota with about a minute left before the intermission. And on the final play of the half, Christian Ponder was sacked for a 10-yard loss. So that was kind of a fitting end to the first half. The Vikings would then start off the second half, and they would go 3-and-out yet again, as that was beginning to be commonplace for them in this game. The Packers would take over on their own 30-yard line with about 13.5 minutes left in the third, and they would drive all the way downfield as they went 70 yards in 6 plays in about 3 minutes, capped off by an 11-yard touchdown run by Eddie Lacy to make it 35-0, as the Packers at this point had scored 35 unanswered points, and the Minnesota Vikings had yet to even make it into Green Bay territory for a snap. So then the Vikings got the ball, and they would end up punting it yet again, and the Packers took over now with about 8.5 minutes left in the third. They started on their own 48, and they actually took their time with the short field, going 52 yards in 7 plays in about 5 minutes, capped off by Eddie Lacy's second straight touchdown, this one from 10 yards out, and it was now 42-0 Packers. So now the Minnesota Vikings took over with a little less than 4 minutes left in the third, and they would bring the third quarter to a close. They actually got into Green Bay territory, crossed midfield, made it all the way up to the 6-yard line. So it was first and goal from the 6 to open up the 4th. And that's when the Vikings finally got on the scoreboard as Christian Ponder scrambled for the 6-yard touchdown run. And so now it was 42-7 as the Packers led the Minnesota Vikings by 35 points. So there was just a few ticks off the clock, and the Packers now took over on their own 20. And Matt Flynn had come into the game at this point. So with Matt Flynn behind center, he actually ended up throwing an interception. So Smith intercepted the ball for Minnesota and gave them the ball for the second time in Green Bay territory as they now started their drive on the Green Bay 30-yard line. They didn't make it too far. They did get up to the 6-yard line, but a 4-yard loss on first and goal from the 6 would result in them having to settle for a field goal on 4th down as Blair Walsh came into the game and kicked a 26-yarder to make it 42-10 as the Vikings now trailed the Packers by 32 points with about 10 minutes left in this game. So the Packers took over and they would end up punting the ball, although they did eat up a lot of game clock, almost 6 minutes. And as I said, Aaron Rodgers at this point was long gone, and Matt Flynn had taken over as this one was quite the blowout. So now the Vikings had the ball with a little over 4 minutes left to play in this game. They would get all the way down to the red zone, as this was the 3rd drive that they actually made it into Green Bay territory. And then, though, on 4th and goal from the 8, they ended up turning the ball over on downs with an incomplete pass. So the Packers got the ball back, and Matt Flynn took a knee, and this game came to a close with the final score 42-10 Packers over the Vikings, as the Packers improved their record to 3-2, and the Vikings fall to 2-3. And in this game, Aaron Rodgers was 12 for 17 with 156 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Christian Ponder was 22 for 44 with 222 passing yards and 2 interceptions. The leading rusher in this game was Eddie Lacy with 13 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. The leading receiver in the game was Jordy Nelson with 66 yards off of 1 reception, which was for a touchdown. Randall Cobb had 3 receptions for 34 yards and the touchdown as well. So the Packers did not take long to score. When they got the ball, they got in the end zone quick. They didn't even really necessarily have to put up much yards because their defense did such a great job of shutting down the Vikings and giving them good field position. Burnett had 12 tackles for the Packers, and overall they combined for 6 sacks as opposed to 2 sacks for the Vikings. It was just a sack party. A.J. Hawk had 7 tackles and half a sack. Goin had 4 tackles and 1.5 sacks. Nick Perry had 2 sacks to go with his 3 tackles. Mike Daniels had 1.5 sacks to go with his 3 tackles. Julius Peppers had a half a sack to go along with that pick 6 as he scored that defensive touchdown for the Packers. Lattimore also had an interception as they got 2 picks. So the Packers just dominate the Vikings on Thursday Night Football on prime time as they put a whooping on them, and they win 42-10 and improve their record to 3-2. The Vikings are now 2-3. So once again, the final score: Green Bay 42, Minnesota 10.